Hello and welcome to the PHNX Cardinals podcast live from the BetMGM Sportsbook here at the Great Lawn at State Farm Stadium. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Bo Brock, the playmaker. Brittan Golden. Cardinals at Seahawks today. Tons to dive into. Early games going on. The vibes are immaculate here at BetMGM. And we get to welcome back an old friend today, Bo Brock. Not just Bo Brock and Brittan Golden, Budda Baker, the triple Bs, if you will.
A big boost to the Arizona Cardinals defensive secondary, not just Budda Baker, but we get the debut of Garrett Williams. Jonathan Gannon is maintained. You have a jersey on game day. You're active. You're going to see the field. Haven't seen the third-round pick from Syracuse yet, known as a ball hawk. You know, in his college days, you've got help incoming for that defensive secondary, and also you've got about 3 key offensive players that are down for the Seattle Seahawks. So this actually bodes well for the Arizona Cardinals to trend in the right direction for the first time in weeks defensively, Brittan.
Oh, yeah, that's good. It's always good when you get your playmaker Budda Baker back. So, you know, that's going to be an uplifting thing for that defense. I think as a captain and as a leader that he's been on this defense, I think it's a big boost. So, and obviously we get Garrett Williams back today, so that'll be a big boost. Hopefully, like you said, ball hawk. We have 2 ball hawks back there at safety trying to make a play.
Yeah, the revamped defensive back group. We're going to talk about that. Let's first look at the inactives today for the Arizona Cardinals. Not too many surprises, although Zach Pascal, wide receiver on special teams, tremendous blocking receiver. He is inactive today. Jesse Luketa, unfortunately, is the odd man out at outside linebacker. We talked about Jalen Thompson, maybe a week away. And then, Bo, you mentioned it, talked about it all week. Elijah Wilkinson not starting at left guard. Is that an addition by subtraction for a lot of Cardinal fans? Maybe Dennis Daly, maybe somebody else. Wilkinson, horrendous this year, was terrible last week. Do the Cardinals have maybe an upgrade internally over Wilkinson?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be Dennis Daly. You're up next. And then you've got Tristan Colon, who's been playing sparingly while Dennis Daly's been getting back. Not too great with Dennis Daly against the Rams. But look, BG, I mean, he's going against an absolute just monster in Aaron Donald. So that's not exactly how you can tell. Like, it's going to be a little bit easier matchup, but still, like, what do you look for? Like, they've had continuity across the board on the offensive line. Is there a challenge there just by having a different guy there?
I mean, it could throw off some type of timing at the beginning, but I'm sure that they've had this group together all week in practice. They've worked. They've done what they've got to do. So it should be a cohesive unit today. I don't see – I mean, the last couple weeks we've looked at left guard. I don't see it getting any worse. So it gets to the point now where you just hope that everybody does their job. And like you said, when you're taking on a guy like Aaron Donald every play, that's not something you can control all day long. So, I mean, I think it'll be a little bit easier challenge today. I think they play well today.
DD in the chat asking, is Garrett Williams active today? He is for the first time. He makes his NFL debut against a Seattle Seahawks receiving core minus DK Metcalf. He had been a true game time decision. According to Jay Glazer, he's got a banged-up rib or multiple ribs. He is out today, so it's Tyler Lockett and a bunch of no-names for the Seattle Seahawks, B and C level receivers. The Cardinals' defensive back group, I think, gets a boost this week. No DK Metcalf. Now, Tyler Lockett is his own animal. But, Bo, I mean, the removal of a guy that, frankly, should be an Arizona Cardinal. The Cardinals should have drafted DK Metcalf. They don't have to deal with him today in Seattle. That means maybe an easier day for the defensive backfield.
I mean, you still got to step up, and you have to step up. I think primarily you're looking at the guys outside. You still need to see improved play from Keitrell Clark, turn back the clock a couple weeks, and see a guy like Marco Wilson have his best performance of the year. And then we'll see. I mean, like, isn't Tyler Lockett play a little slot there? That's a tough matchup potentially for a guy like Garrett Williams right out of the gates.
Right out of the gate, Tyler Lockett is a tough matchup for anybody in the league right now, especially in the slot. So just controlling him today because he's a very good route runner. He gets open, and he still has speed and great hands. So it could be a tough matchup for him. But I do see the secondary trying to get back on their feet today. I mean, don't sleep on these other guys now. This is how, B and C level receivers show up and become ones and twos in this league, and opportunities like this. When your number one is down, you get an opportunity to play. So The secondary still needs to come out and have a really good day today.
I love this comment. Friend of the program, Dylan Richards in the chat. So many underdogs beating ass today. Can we? Absolutely, the Cardinals can. The Cardinals historically have had some success in Seattle. You once had a big game in Seattle on, was it Christmas Eve, Christmas Day?
Christmas, yeah, it was my first Seattle trip. Yeah.
Oh man, couple big long catches.
I had a long catch. I got caught from behind because I'm slow as shit.
David Johnson cleaned that up for you. 4 touchdowns in that game. Ooh. Can the Cardinals keep it going with their Seattle luck? Vibes are immaculate here at BetMGM. If you're not here at BetMGM, what are you waiting for? Drive down to Glendale. Have a great time with all of us today at our watch party. Drink specials, giveaways, the whole nine as we transfer from pre-flight to the Birdgang Blitz. Let's talk about the number one factor, I think, on the Cardinals offense right now. It's Hollywood Brown. Can he be the Hollywood hero? He has been a talk of trade, let's just call them rumors, over the course of the last several weeks now. Brad Spielberger joined you earlier this week, Bo Brock, said that's not going to happen. Diana Rossini of The Athletic confirmed that this morning. The Cardinals will not trade Hollywood Brown at the deadline, and the quote, he is part of their future.
Right.
Whether that means future in 2023, these last 2 to 3 months, or future beyond into 2024, the Cardinals are better when Hollywood gets deep and Joshua Dobbs can connect with wide receiver
No
one.
doubt about it. And Hollywood Brown is one of those guys where his actions have spoke for him, right? As far as how he's conducted himself going into this contract year. You know, when we talk to him in training camp or even before that in OTAs where he's a willing participant, a volunteer participant at some point, and just realized, he just kind of kept his head down and realized how big this was and has approached this contract season, you know, not saying, hey, where's my deal? Hey, where's my deal? Feed me the football.
Right.
Just, I'm going to be big for you in the red zone. I'm going to be big for you on third down. I'm going to be big for you wherever you expect your top wide receiver to be. Now, has he received, been reciprocated by his quarterback play? I think that we'd like to see that stepped up in this game and going forward with Joshua Dobbs and Kyler Murray. But I think Hollywood Brown, Brittan, has done every single thing he could on his end of the bargain.
Oh, for sure. So far this year, when the ball's come his way and it's been there for him, he's made the plays, he's made the catches. He's been missed a lot. I mean, last week we missed 2 big touchdown passes to him that should have been completed. So I'm expecting this week, to be a little bit better, to be passes on target. Hopefully it is. But like I said, the Cardinals like Hollywood Brown here. They see him with a future. He's got rapport with Kyler Murray going back to college. So it's one of those things where they've got a guy here that can be a number one. They got a guy that's comfortable with his number one quarterback. We're just trying to find that comfortability with the backup right now.
It would be great. Go ahead.
I mean, what do we know about Drew Petzing's offense? It creates separation, right? And then when you have a guy that's already creating separation like Hollywood Brown, like I know he's not as big as you'd like him to be, 5'9", but I think that he's a guy that has that elite speed that even Drew Petzing's like, okay, this is a guy that anybody can utilize if they have any kind of offensive game planning ability.
Yeah, he's a chess piece. You can move him around, and again, they have not unlocked, and this is not a fault of Hollywood, his deep threat ability with Joshua Dobbs yet, because K1's waiting in the wings, right? You get Kyler Murray back in 2 to 3 weeks potentially in this offense, and you unlock a dimension of this offense, the big playability with Hollywood Brown, that you really haven't seen yet. It's been unfortunate. So Hollywood comes to Arizona last year. They get off to a good start. Then he gets hurt. Then Kyler's hurt. Kyler's still hurt, right? Hollywood Brown's having a nice year. I think Hollywood Brown, with Kyler Murray projected over 17 games, I think he's a 1,300-yard receiver, Brent.
No, I agree. And I think these last few weeks before we get Kyler back, I think Petzing needs to start opening it up a little bit and allow Josh Dobbs to throw this ball down the field.
Yeah,
right, because it's been a lot of this underneath stuff, tight ends, check downs, running backs, which is good. Don't get me wrong. I know he needs to be able to manage this game, but we need to see some more shots. You need to unlock that potential that you have with Hollywood going deep.
I know we have a big game on tap, but the conversation about Hollywood, you weren't there when Brad dropped the number, the extension number, and Brad was pretty much spot on, with the Herbert extension numbers. He was spot on with the Joe Burrow extension numbers. He can kind of forecast these. He was telling me like the 2024 offseason version of the Christian Kirk contract. Christian Kirk got 4 for upwards of $84 million, more like 4 for 72. Hollywood Brown would be looking at $20 million per season. Do you balk at that?
No, because it's inflation. And by the way, did you guys see Christian Kirk this week on Thursday Night Football? He's fantastic. It's like everybody, all I saw on Twitter the time he signed the contract was, and we did this on this show, overpaying. Right now, the Jaguars like what they see. He was a 1,000-yard receiver for them last year. He's projected to be that this year. If the Cardinals believe Hollywood Brown's going to be 27 years old next summer, you sign him to a 3 or 4 year deal, and you get at least 3 years out of that contract before he's 30 years old, and he gets you 2 to 3 1,000-yard receiving seasons, that's worth it. Especially when Michael Wilson is not making any money for you for the next 4 years. Now, a lot of people are saying, what about, Marvin Harrison Jr.? What happens if that?
11 catches, 162 yards, 2 touchdowns that game yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, Penn State is not, Seattle's defense. But, yeah, absolutely. I do think Marvin Harrison is the one factor that could change it, because Hollywood, Michael Wilson, and Marvin are all outside receivers. And while you can move people around, it's like, as cliche as it sounds, like I would re-sign Hollywood Brown, assuming you don't have a top 3 pick. If you
you have to just classify Hollywood as outside guy, though.
But is it worth $20 million for a slot receiver?
If you can move Hollywood, especially if you were able to somehow get a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., let's just go out on the wing and somehow you're able to keep Hollywood and get Marvin Harrison Jr. at the same time. Now you have outside. You have outside with Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison, and you can put Hollywood in the slot now. Now you got somebody who can play outside. Now he's playing inside, which you go back. There was a Hall of Fame receiver playing for this franchise.
Making good money.
Making great money that played outside his entire career until Bruce Arians showed up.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the fountain of youth at Larry Fitzgerald at 35-plus years old playing in the slot. So don't sleep on somebody coming from outside to back inside, because if you can find a way to get 2 big-time outside guys and then move your previous number 1 inside the slot, now he's going against your number 3 best corner.
We talk a lot about the Cardinals receivers. Let's flip the script. Seattle, how are the Cardinals going to stop the vaunted passing game? Geno Smith, relatively average this year. The Seahawks receivers led by Tyler Lockett are not average. That brings us to our next point. DB renaissance of sorts. No Jalen Thompson. We think he could be back next week against Baltimore. Surely needed. But Budda Baker, the captain, the best overall player on this team, number 3, is back today in the lineup, along with Kayvon Wallace. Nice complimentary safety. And then, of course, Garrett Williams makes his debut. So, for the first time in a long time, Bo, Jonathan Gannon has a nice little sandbox of defensive back toys with Keitrell Clark. Maybe this helps Marco Wilson despite his struggles this year. And, of course, the cherry on top is you get an all-pro back at safety.
Yeah. And no DK Metcalf helps that tremendously. It's like you're going up against Jake Bobo, you're going up against Cody Thompson. I don't know these names. And they did a good job against Cincinnati. Here's where the Arizona Cardinals defense, especially the secondary, they have to make sure that they don't have we know they've got this guy, and then that guy still performs. Tyler Lockett can't go out there and put up close to 10 catches for over 120 yards, and what Dylan Richards is putting in the chat, just having a monster day, we've seen 3 consecutive weeks now from star offensive players from the opposing team. Like Jamar Chase goes off, 15 catches, 192.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey the previous week from that, and then you had what you saw from Cooper Kupp and Kyren Williams. That's unacceptable. They're down pretty tremendous on the offensive side of the football. Make a guy like Geno look pedestrian, but I think really where it comes down to, and we can get into this a little bit later, is who Jonathan Gannon identified as kind of the straw that stirs the drink here, number 9, Kenneth Walker III.
Well, and how do they prevent this from turning into another Christian McCaffrey scenario with Kenneth Walker? Because the Niners in that game, no Deebo Samuel, a la DK Metcalf, so they went to Brandon Ayuk, and today you would assume they're going to go to Tyler Lockett. But Kenneth Walker right now, with our friends at BetMGM, plus 220 to score 2 touchdowns. Like, how do the Cardinals? That's some disrespect for the Cardinals front 7. How can the Cardinals prevent, Kenneth Walker, a nice second year back, from going off today?
Well, I think it's going to start with that defensive line and the linebackers. You've got to play in their backfield.
Yeah.
You can't allow what the 49ers did and, frankly, what the Rams did last week and just play on your side of the line of scrimmage. And the Rams came out the second half and basically just told our defensive line that they were non-existent and just moved the ball. I mean, that first drive, 8 straight runs with a touchdown pass to Cooper Kupp. So the defensive line's got to set the tone, especially in the run game, and then force him to throw the ball. And like you said, you can't let Tyler Lockett beat you in the air. No. Right, if anybody's going to beat you, let's let somebody that we don't know is relevant yet beat us in through the air, which we don't want that to happen either. But we don't, like we said, we don't want to get beat by somebody's number 1. Like Jamar Chase came in here and literally just stamped and said, look, I'm that guy. I got a 7-Eleven diamond chain on my neck saying I'm always open, and now I'm proving it. So you just can't let that happen again.
It is frustrating. The Cardinal defense has seemingly got worse over the last couple of weeks. Can they rebound? with the arrival of their captain, their savant, Budda Baker. How about on the flip side? Can Joshua Dobbs rebound from 2 consecutive clunker performances? There were plays to be had, gentlemen. Last week against the LA Rams, Joshua Dobbs missed. Hollywood Brown twice. He missed, I believe it was Rondale Moore in the red zone, Brock, for a touchdown. Can the Cardinals make it again with Drew Petzing and company offensively doable for Joshua Dobbs? Easy throws, right? Intermediate completions, complimentary run game. Dobbs, to me, Cincinnati, after that San Francisco game, he looks irritable. He looks antsy. He does not look like the quarterback that was poised for so much of the start of the season.
Yeah, I want to see Dobbs kind of dial up several different receivers today. Like, I want him to really utilize, get a Rondale Moore going in this game.
Yeah.
Get Trey McBride going before the fourth quarter and not in garbage time like we saw him step up last week. We know about Hollywood Brown. We know about Michael Wilson. I'd like to see him involved, but I also know that Reek Woolen he shut down Hollywood Brown last year. It was a disaster. And then their new piece who's kind of playing in the slot and they're using as a Swiss Army knife on defense, the 5th overall pick, and Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Like, you really have to be able to go through your reads and your progressions here and find those open guys. You can't have a mistake like you had in the red zone where Rondale Moore is releasing in the middle of the field is almost a surefire touchdown, and you overthrow a Zach Ertz. Like, that can't happen. You have to be on the money, and you have to have a full complement of receivers.
Brittan, what are you seeing from Joshua Dobbs these last couple of weeks that's made him so ineffective?
I think you alluded to it earlier, just antsy. I feel like he's not been as comfortable in the pocket. We saw those couple of games after week 1, week 2, and week 3. He looked comfortable.
Yeah.
He made the throws he was supposed to make, and he made some that we didn't think he could make. Right? And then I think he got a little comfortable there and got a little too comfortable, overconfident. And we went into the next week against Cincinnati, and we were trying to make throws that we know we can't make.
Yeah.
Or we were doing stuff that we're not supposed to be doing. And I feel like he just needs to settle down, dial it back, get back to week 2, get back to week 3, and make the throws you're supposed to, like the ones around Del Moore in the middle of the field. You can't miss that one. And you can't throw behind your tight end.
And the Seahawks have given up the 6th most passing yards in the year. It's been tough to run on Seattle. You can throw on them. And I think Joshua Dobbs, there are going to be players to be hit in stride today. Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, maybe Zach Ertz, and, of course, the aforementioned Hollywood Brown. This is a big game for Joshua Dobbs. Can you keep the seat warm? Can you keep the car running for Kyler Murray, who is poised to return in the coming weeks? We previewed it all week long. That was very much the 1A to the sub 1B of the game preview is Kyler Murray's impending return. Can Joshua Dobbs, knowing that K1 is waiting in the wings 2, 3, 4 weeks away, keep the trains on the track and not have to force the issue with somebody like Clayton Tune? The Cardinal coaching staff does not want to play Clayton Tune. They want Joshua Dobbs to steer this ship ahead until Kyler Murray is ready to come back. And I think he has a rebound game today. That brings me to Johnny's picks via the BetMGM Sportsbook app. Plus, you can come make these in person here at BetMGM at the Great Line here at State Farm Stadium. I'm going to tell you right now, gentlemen, I went off the beaten path today in an effort to make you fine folks some money on BetMGM. Here's what I'm looking at. And you guys have seen it all year long. Cards money line in the first half is plus 220. The Cardinals are winning like seemingly every first half. They look fantastic. They were leading last week. They were leading outside of San Francisco. They've led in like 4 out of 6 games. It's been a phenomenon. Right now, plus 220. You don't have to take the money line. The Cardinals are an 8.5-point dog. If you want to just say, I want the first 2 quarters, I think the Cardinals play their best first 2 quarters to start the game. Plus 220 right now with our friends at BetMGM. I just mentioned Joshua Dobbs, Bo Brock, over 211.5 passing yards, minus 115. I think he gets that in 3 quarters. I think he has his best game since San Francisco, and I think the passing game shines for the Cardinals today, and it's led by the second-year tight end, Trey McBride. The ultimate gamble today. Take a free bet, take a 5 spot. Trey McBride's going to score a touchdown today. If he scores the first touchdown, plus 3,000. The tight end one. The Seattle Seahawks under Pete Carroll are susceptible to opposing tight end touchdowns. Zach Ertz went to Seattle 2 years ago, scored 2 touchdowns with Colt McCoy. First tight end, first touchdown, plus 3,000, Bo Brock.
What's Zach Ertz? What's his number?
We're not worried about it.
That's looking pretty good, too.
We're not worried.
At least plus 370. Right
okay.
now.
It's trade day, baby.
It's trade day. I love it. I love the optimism, and you're going off the trends from last game, and everybody seems to be jumping on Trey McBride taking over this tight end one. And Zach Ertz, he's the only person that can kind of slow that down with his own play. But we'll see. I like all of those bets. Actually, I love your first two bets there. I think that those are fantastic, and then the Arizona Cardinals, they're capable of pulling those off. The first half value there is tremendous. As you said, 4 out of the 6 games, they've gone into the locker room. Could have been 5 out of 6 if they could avoid a catastrophe with the pick 6 against the Bengals. So they're putting themselves in positions to go into the locker room at half with a lead, but also, to kind of jump off of that a little bit. They have to change the trends in the second half in this game to get off of where, the smart money is with Johnny's bets. The Arizona Cardinals have to go against what the trends are and show up in the second half if they want to win a football game.
And I think that's a lot of just adjustments made at halftime now.
Yeah.
Because it looks like we get to halftime and the adjustments just disappear. We don't even try. We don't do nothing. We just try to keep the same first half thing that we were going. And the other team is in there making adjustments. So I'm looking forward to, once we get to halftime after a good first half, these coaches have a game plan for the second half to stay competitive.
It's less than 10 minutes away from kickoff, which means it's time for game predictions. Bo and I gave our predictions on Friday, which means we're going to allude to our friend Brittan Golden giveaway. Brittan, final score prediction today is the Arizona Cardinals attempt to win their first NFC West game, divisional game, under Jonathan Gannon.
I think the Cardinals win this game.
Nice.
I do. I think the secondary comes out and plays well, especially with Budda Baker coming back. And I think the offense gets back on track. I think Dobbs had to take a look in the mirror this week after the last couple of weeks of play, and he's getting guys involved. I think Michael Wilson shows up big today. I'm hoping he's targeted prior to the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But, dude, I think the Cardinals come out and win this game. Convinced. I think 28-21 Cardinals win this game.
Wow.
Now, I had the Cardinals losing on Friday.
Yeah, by substantially, by like double digits.
I did. It was like 31-21 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that they can narrow the margin. I still think going up in the Pacific Northwest against this offense that's pretty well balanced, takes care of the football, they really have to show me something different on the defensive side. Now, you're entering two players like we mentioned Budda, and we can say that until we're blue in the face. And I think Garrett Williams adds an element that they haven't had as far as just the caliber of athlete that they're going to deploy out there. Like, you've got a 6th-round pick, maybe undersized, and Keitrell Clark that's competing his ass off. I'll give you that, but there's a ceiling to that. And then Marco Wilson he's a 4th-round pick out of Florida in his 3rd year. What you've got in Garrett Williams is a guy that could have been as high as a 2nd-round pick if he doesn't get injured. Like, he's an athlete that can go out there and make plays for you. If you can do it right out of the gates, they can win this football game. But I still you have to show me first. And I want to see this Arizona Cardinals defense show up and this offense rebound, but I still think that the Seahawks have the edge here.
Let's turn the clock back about 18 months. If you were to tell me Josh Dobbs versus Geno Smith on an NFL Sunday game, and the Seahawks were favored in that game by almost 10 points, that's an atrocious line. I'm going to tell you right now, I am not buying Geno Smith in the year of our football Lord 2023. I think he's come back to earth. His numbers have been pedestrian this year. I think Joshua Dobbs outplays Geno Smith. They're both backups at the end of the day. I'm not buying into Geno Smith's anomaly year last year. I think the Cardinals defense steps up under Nick Rallis and company today. Cardinals, last second, Matt Prater field goal. 24-21. They get the job done. They force multiple turnovers. Geno hasn't turned the ball over much this year. They get after him today. Pass rush wakes up. Maybe Budda Baker, maybe Garrett Williams, maybe Marco Wilson. Somebody has an interception of Geno Smith, and the Arizona Cardinals go into Seattle, gentlemen, and they get the dub today.
Always play well in Seattle, too.
They do. Absolutely.
We all love playing in Seattle.
Bruce Arians, dating back. Cliff Kingsbury had a lot of success in Seattle. I think the Seahawks are overlooking the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals come in with renewed energy because of the All-Pro Budda Baker number 3. We've got renewed energy here at BetMGM Sportsbook all day long. Keep it locked in. Drink specials, events, giveaways, the entirety of the year. We're going to be here every single away game. We're going to be here halftime show, your definitive PHNX Cardinals halftime show immediately following the first half of Cardinals at Seahawks. And, of course, your definitive post-game show here at the Great Lawn at BetMGM for Brittan Golden, Budda Baker, Bo Brock, Johnny Venerable. Budda's playing. He's not live with us today. We're fired up, man. I got Budda on the mind. I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you at halftime.
city like the mayor.